Hi, I'm going crazy because I've tried to film this video like a million times, but I'm gonna try to do it in one take, and here we go. And I don't even have notes, it's all just from my brain. So I'm sorry if this is like a fucking mess, but I'm done restarting the video. Here we fucking go. Okay, I'm here today to talk about Jodie Whittaker and the new Doctor Who series. I want to prefix this with I have only seen the first 2 episodes of her series. It was at a friend's house, and it was right after, so I'm rewatching the Doctor Who series, and it was literally like 2 days after I had just finished David Tennant and his whole storyline and seasons, and he's my favorite Doctor, and it's so powerful and so well written, and the acting is amazing, and all of these things that I love so much. And so going directly from that into the first 2 episodes of Jodie Whittaker, when I hadn't even caught up with Peter Capaldi, I've only seen like a season and a bit of his because I was kind of just underwhelmed by him, and then they also took it off Netflix, and so I was like, well, I'm not just gonna go like seek out to find this elsewhere when I wasn't really impressed anyways. So that all aside, I have some very strong opinions based on the couple of episodes I did see, and then obviously my somewhat extensive knowledge of Doctor Who. I have been watching Doctor Who since I was a literal child, like 5 or 6 years old. I used to watch it with my dad. It's something I hold near and dear to my heart. I love this series so much, and so granted, I may be biased, but these are my thoughts and opinions. I wasn't even going to make this video, but I have just seen I just saw an article today, sorry, as I flip to my notes, that I'll add a picture maybe? I don't know. But the clickbait title was something something, the finale is an overdrawn gush of nonsense, which I'm kind of not surprised by. And then directly in the article, like a few lines in, I didn't end up reading the whole thing because I don't really want spoilers on what the actual take that they're trying, but I don't know, it was clickbait, so I clicked. But right at the start of the article, the author says, "What an awful boring mess." And then he says that he wrote that in his notepad about halfway through the episode, and it didn't get any better. And after that line, I decided I'm not reading anymore. I don't want to get like in my head about, I don't want to have opinions as I don't want to watch up to there and then have an opinion on how it's gonna be. I also want to say that currently I'm watching Matt Smith. I am going to watch the Peter Capaldi episodes. I am going to watch the Jodie Whittaker episodes, and I am going to give them a fair shot, and who knows, maybe my opinion on this will change. But as it sits, these are my thoughts and feelings. I want to start and just say, it felt, watching those first 2 episodes, it felt so Americanized, which I thought was interesting because they really heavily leaned into accents, I noticed. And everybody had, well, not everybody, but most of the characters had thick accents, which hasn't always been the case in Doctor Who. I mean, like, they all have accents, obviously. But I thought it was a very interesting feeling when the whole show felt very like spy show, like NCIS. I don't know any other ones because I don't watch them, but like I've seen them, and it felt like very like that. But then it's like, we're British, here are accents, and so I was like, what the fuck are you trying to do here? And it just felt like they were pandering to an audience that's not theirs, instead of actually trying to write good episodes and continue building this world that was so set up for them to the audience that actually cares, to the audience that this is in their bones. Like, I have a freaking Doctor Who tattoo, come on. That was my first tattoo ever. Like, I love this show, and I am so open to plot twists and, you know, completely turning the Doctor Who world upside down, but it has to be well done, especially with how well they did with David Tennant and with Matt Smith. That being said, I would also like to say Chris Eccleston did an amazing job, and David Tennant could not have been the Doctor that he was without Chris. So props to him. I honestly wish he had more seasons than just the one. That's all I'll say about that, because that's not what this video is about. But first point, Americanized. Second point I noticed is there was always like very intense music. Either it was like underlying intense music or like intense things were happening and it was like louder and more intense, which I hated. Like, hate is a strong word, but I hated it because it made me feel anxious the whole time I was watching the show. And when you look back or you watch back to the older episodes of like the new series, because obviously Doctor Who's been around for a long time, the music is so vital to the storytelling. You know, if there's a touching moment, there's soft music. If there's, you know, fighting in battles, there's intense music. If, you know, they're having a funny moment, it like brings it back and, you know, it highlights what is going on in the story. And so to have like this intense music the whole time, it makes the intensity of the intense scenes less so, and it gives them less power, in my opinion. So yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all because I'm a music lover in general, and then also I feel like music is a vital part in telling a story. The next point that I would like to hit that I felt kind of made it not great is that, okay, let me start by bringing it back. Voyage of the Damned, Christmas special, 2007 or 2009? I know it's an odd number, I can't remember. Anyways, at the point where David Tennant is, so it's like a Titanic, it's in space, it's crashing into the earth. And at the point where David Tennant gets to like the bad guy who's like the boss of the company, they're, you know, they have this back and forth, like a lot of, you know, clever exchanges and story development to just the particular episode. And then the bad guy, you know, says this line that was essentially, all that banter, yet not a word wasted. And I feel like that's so indicative of what Doctor Who is, because Doctor Who is about brilliant story and clever lines and really pulling you in, and it feels smart when you watch it, and it has its silly moments, it has its intense moments, or the moments where, you know, like the whole Face of Bo storyline. I loved that. I loved the whole thing they did with that. I thought it was brilliant. And you can cherry pick like so many different things that all tie back into the Doctor in those early seasons. And it just kind of, that felt lost to me in the new series. It felt like they were sitting on this foundation, this beautifully built foundation of this new series of Doctor Who. And I say new series, I mean Chris and past. They're sitting on this beautiful foundation, and then they're just kind of, you know, picking a vocabulary here or there, or, you know, trying to reference something here or there, like adding these Easter eggs because it's like, we're still Doctor Who, but it just didn't feel like Doctor Who. Going from watching David Tennant to straight to that when I was at a friend's house, if I hadn't known it was Doctor Who and I just like sat halfway through the episode, I wouldn't have picked up on it until I heard one of those cherry-picked words, until I heard, you know, the Easter egg tying it back to the old series, but it felt like a different entity, which really made me sad. I don't think it's necessarily all the writer's fault. I feel like the whole thing just felt rushed. And that's such a shame. It's like they're just pandering. It's a money grab. They're, trying to keep this, world success that they found with Matt Smith especially, and harness it and make as much money as possible and just keep the series going, where I think it would have been a much better idea to cut the series off there, leave the party while you're still having fun, and taken the time to really well develop a script and well pick a character. And I'm not saying Jodie Whittaker or Peter Capaldi are bad actors, but I'm just saying I didn't really feel like they were doctors, and especially Jodie. No offense to her whatsoever, but she just didn't feel like the doctor, and I am open to a woman doctor. I think if they had stopped it at Matt Smith and then taken a break, developed a fantastic script, and brought in that first woman doctor right after that, it would have been way better. But it just kind of felt like they were pandering to PC culture and trying to grasp at these straws of like, we're losing viewers, what can we do to like bring in a new crowd, instead of actually making something good. And it's such a shame, because Doctor Who is good. Doctor Who is a fantastic show to watch. It's so powerful. It elicits so many feelings in me, and that might just be because I watched it as a kid, but I've seen the series, the new series from Eccleston to Matt Smith at least 4 or 5 times, and I love it. I love the series so much, and it just seems like such a disservice what they're doing to it. So that really, I don't know, made me sad more than anything, because of how much I do love it. And I think Peter Capaldi was more believable as the Doctor than Jodie has been. Granted, again, I only saw the first 2 episodes of her series, and I am going to watch, I'm on Matt Smith right now, I'm gonna watch all through him, I'm gonna watch Capaldi, I'm gonna watch her. Maybe my opinions will change, but I somehow doubt it. They actually might just get stronger, and maybe you'll get an update video when I actually know what's going on. But she just felt so not confident in herself as the Doctor, which is such an issue, because if you look at every Doctor, that's such a big part of their personality, is I'm the Doctor, and I don't have to tell you I'm smart. I will, but I don't have to tell you because I'm gonna prove it. Whereas her, it kind of just felt like, I have proved it, so I don't have to prove it anymore. And that's a good kind of wraparound for this whole series, is like, these, BBC is basically like, well, we proved that Doctor Who was a good show, so you guys should just keep coming back and watching, even though we're not putting in the same effort, or maybe they are putting in the same effort, but in different ways. Like, the film quality of the new series, so high. Like, it felt like, a very modern TV show. But guess what? Doctor Who has always got charm and character from the low budget of the set, of the aliens, of like, the Daleks in the original series was a trash can. Like, I don't understand why they think that they can just try to turn it into this show that it's not, and have a new audience come in, or please an audience they already have. I'm not sure what they're trying to go for here, but it's just not working, and it's pissing people off. BBC, you're pissing people off. So, oof. I think, honestly, that's basically the gist of my feelings. It is very sad to me, and underwhelming, if I'm being honest. It was overly confusing. I guess that's another point, and probably the last point I'll make is, yeah, when I was watching these 2 episodes of her series, I was lost. I felt like I was missing a bunch of context that, you know, was necessary to understand really what was going on. And that sucks, because if you watch the older episodes, yes, you're gonna get more out of it if you've seen it, but you can watch any episode individually, unless it's a 2 or 3-parter, and enjoy it and think, oh, that was a good TV show. I'm glad I just spent 45 minutes or an hour watching that. And I didn't feel the same about this. It was overly complicated and overly produced and just a disservice to Doctor Who. Like, have some respect for this series. And I honestly just hope it gets canceled at this point. And that's just, like, sad to me. It is sad. So now, here is the TLDR, or I guess TLDW for too long didn't watch. The whole show, in the episodes that I had seen, felt Americanized. There was constant, intense music that was wildly unnecessary and made the show harder to watch for me. It was confusing and overly complicated. Jodie was not confident or believable as the Doctor, and it felt like they were trying to compensate for that by just adding a bunch more characters, and that's not what the show should be about. And finally, it was just a disservice to Doctor Who, because up to Matt Smith, they just build this beautiful, beautiful series, and they're adding things and everything ties together. And of course, in any show you can find plot holes, but the plot holes, when I watched it, granted this was a few weeks ago, blaringly obvious plot holes to someone who understands the lore, who understands the Doctor Who universe. I can't name them now because it's been a few weeks, obviously, but yeah. Oof. All I have to say is, BBC, fuck off, cancel the show, give it 10 years, try again. Like, the fan base will still be there in 10 years, and we'll give it another try if you do, but at this point, it's a sinking ship, and no matter how many buckets of water you're dumping over the edge, there's still holes, and you're never gonna save yourself at this point. Give it a break.